Welcome back to KSP Making History Korea, and where did we leave it last episode? We left it before I spent all this wonderful science that we got from the moon. So I'm going to take that, and instead of going to a 90 node, or maybe I should go into 190 node, I think I want, for reasons that should become clear fairly soon, I want this crazy aviation node. Now, normally I don't go for planes, as you well know, but I think I want that to create a rover. So we're going to take that node. And I think I'm probably also going to take... so tempted to go for that node. In fact, why don't we do that? Why don't we get these two nodes here and here? Okay, and then everything is now 90 nodes, and beyond that, we're going to need to expand this R&D base. So we've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we've got 900 science we need to get for the next tier. Well, that's going to be not terribly easy. However, we should probably build a rover of some sort. Hopefully, I can now build one. It would be a waste if I couldn't. So let's see what can we actually... Mark 1 cockpit. I guess I should buy that. We've got enough money to buy it. Yeah, there we go. It's this is so not going to be used to make a plane, so this is going to be hilarious. But we'll get started with that. And let's we want a liquid fuel tank, don't we? So fuselage, Mark 0. They're just different sizes. Let me just move this out of the way. Liquid fuel 50, liquid fuel 400. They're just different sizes. Where's the size? It doesn't tell me the size. Oh well, let's just get the Mark 1. That's the right size. That'll do. And then we're just going to need some wheels for this thing and an engine. So the Juno is the first sort of jet engine. So it usually is tiny. Yeah, that is incredibly tiny. But it's okay for this particular use. We're going to need an intake of some sort as well. Is that a utility? Jet air intake, or is it in engines? Jet engines don't work without intakes, so if they've not put this on the node, I'll be very disappointed. Well, that's annoying. There's the intake, but yeah, that doesn't really want to go anywhere on this cockpit. Can we choose another one? Can we go for a Mark 1 command pod, I wonder? Let's just take this off for a second and get rid of that. And, oops. Yep. Mark 1 command pod. Can I put the air intake on the front? I think I can. Yeah, there we go. So that's very strange sort of rover, but that will do the job, I would have thought. Let's fill it with liquid fuel. So we just need some wheels, ground. We're going to need a steerable and the fixed ones. So let's get the fixed ones sorted out. We're going to need to balance this a little bit. So let me show the center of mass. There we go. So let's have this in radial symmetry mode, or 2-up radial symmetry mode, and we want them out flat first of all, and then we'll move them with the move tool once I've got the nose wheel on. And let's see if KSP, well, let's just remove that. Let's see if KSP actually manages to do what it always has problems with, which is to say wheels. I always have problems with wheels. Yeah, so we're going to need to move that, aren't we? That's not going to do too well the way it is. So first of all, let's rotate it. And I almost want absolute or relative. And let's just adjust that to there, shall we? So it's a little bit lower than the others. So all we then need to do is choose move on these. And we want to move them down a little bit, just so the whole thing doesn't tip forward or backwards, because we're going to be going up and down hills like crazy. Okay, now you used to have to get in and out of these little rovers when you were collecting science from around the base, but we have a science experiment storage unit. Now, technically, I can put it back here, I think. Yeah, so yes, the air will pass through this thing. It's magic, don't worry too much about why. And let's put a barometer on and a temperature thermometer, of course. Doesn't much matter where these go. This is the one that you have to have problems with because you have to normally get out to reset this, and it depends on your skill level and what you're using, so I'm not going to worry too much about it other than to put it somewhere near the hatch so that if I get out on top of here, we're not going to have any problems. And then a Science Junior, yeah. I'm not sure if I'm even going to be able to reset this, but we could technically put it here. This is making this longer and longer. But yeah, we can see if this, we'll see if this will work, shall we? And we can always come back with it. It shouldn't be terribly hard. We want an engineer or a scientist. Now, is it, I think it's the scientist that we want. So let's take Bob. Although I haven't done this in a while, so I could be misremembering. Rover Mach 1. And I'll see you out on the rather bumpy landing strip. So here we are on the landing strip, or the runway. I wouldn't really call it a runway just yet, but yeah, so the material study, to recover it, we get 4.5, or to transmit 2.2. So I'm just going to recover that one. We're not going to be able to reset it as such, but I should be able to close the doors, at least. And let's just brake so we don't fly off anywhere. And then we can, I think, no, we want to keep those as well. Okay, so we're going to have to do multiple trips. That's fine. These also are getting more science from keeping them. But we should get nearly all the money back. We can transmit the crew reports. And we can go EVA. An EVA report from the runway. We can transmit that. No comms device. I need some kind of... Right, fine. We will be keeping it on board, however. So as soon as we recover from this... What's my current science? 10, is it? 10. Okay, let's recover this. And... Okay, so we've got 22 science. We've got 12 science earned just from that one zone. So I'm going to, first of all, head back into the spaceplane hangar and put some kind of aerial on the thing. Antenna, I should say, as I always get it wrong. Yeah, so shouldn't much matter for this case. So we can just put one of these on it. There we go. And let's just snap that to the right place. All right. Of course, the problem is going to be that I can't reset these things and also keep the data. Well, I can keep the data. No, I can move the data. Do we have enough experience on the scientist, though, to be able to rerun them? Let's give it a try. Let's just launch. Not that we're launching anywhere off the ground, but yeah, let's see what this does. Okay. So we already have those two. We're not going to need any more. So let's stage. And I'm just going to cut the power. We just want to get off this runway because it's very, very bumpy. And head on over. And let's see if we get any science from just off the runway in this area. This is the kind of grasslands area. So we can take a look at that. And I don't want to get particularly too high in speed. This is a tricycle, and if you haven't, tricycle layout, and if you haven't seen the Top Gear episode with Jeremy Clarkson and Robin Reliant, I'd urge you to YouTube that one and see what happens if you get too fast on Robin Reliant and try and go around a corner, or any tricycle really. So here we can do all of these experiments, and we're going to keep them all. And now we should be able to collect them all, which works. Okay, all items stored. We can EVA. Take one of those reports and keep it. And then now, can you reset things? You can restore it. Yes, we can. Good. Okay. And I should have put those onto this, I think. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go and board. And we shall collect all again. Okay, so the material study should be restored now. So we can head all the way out. Speed up a little bit. And I'm just going to head into each of these areas. Now I'm just going to zoom out so you can see. What you're going to want to do is collect from this area, from that area, from this one, this one, this one, that flag, this one, that one, this crawl away, and the we probably already have most of the science from the landing, the launch pad, but all of those areas will give you all of this science. Of course, I'm not going to do that all on camera because, well, it's all pretty much the same thing, isn't it? You've seen me do this one, so I'm just going to do this one area here. I'm going to reset and move these forward so I can get to them when I actually get out of the pod. So let's brake for a little while. You don't necessarily need to brake, but if you fall off and your craft keeps going, then yep, I told you so. So let's just collect all of you, and that is fine. Keep. And let's just EVA. Just move down a little bit and reset the materials bay, because I have already collected it. Do an EVA report. Collect that as well. And board. Cool. So we have everything we need, although, or maybe not. Let's just collect that and see whether I needed that. Collect all. Yep. So we've got 12 experiments now. We're just going to break entirely. And we're going to be using that to collect all the data we can from around the KSC. And just one other point. I think someone at the squad has finally smoothed out this runway. For versions upon versions, this thing has been like taking off on a, well, a rutted field, just full of trenches and holes and let's brake before I get too fast. And now it's actually perfectly smooth. So if that was in 1.3, I missed it, but if it's in 1.4, so glad they fixed the runway. It's just been there for years. Okay, fine. So I got another, what am I up to? 47 science. So I'm going to carry on doing this off camera. And we're closing in on the last zone, which is the launch pad. We're on the crawl away with Bob riding this like, well, Dr. Strangelove. Anyway, yeah, so he's heading in there, which is bored. And I think we just got our last bit of science. We'll see whether that actually gives us anything on the launch pad, and then we can head back in. Not that anyone on the launch pad's expecting this particular vehicle to come along, but it will do just fine. So we've got to get just enough speed up to get on this ramp, and then slow down on the top. Or go off the end. But that wouldn't be good for Bob. That really wouldn't be good for Bob. Let's just see, does this count? Oh, we're on the launch pad, so it looks like we already have that science aside from EVA, which we can get from here. Pick that up. Board, brake, and recover. Now let's see what our little science-inator in Bob Kerman has got for us. He can't be bargained with, he can't be reasoned with. He comes back and gets us 145 science, which I'm very happy with. So, for very little investment in funds at all. So now we can have a look. So we've got all of these nodes, and we can now spin out on at least one of the next nodes up. I have a tendency to want this just because it enables satellites, or at least it enables small propulsion systems for satellites, but we also need electric systems, and electrics would help a great deal. So I think I'm going to start out with electrics, and then we'll move on into that propulsion system node as soon as I can get more science. Okay, so the next mission we can possibly get is this Explore the Mun. All right, and it asks us to orbit the Mun, which we haven't done before. We've just sort of got a free return, which isn't exactly orbiting. Return to Kerbin from orbit of the Mun. So we've got to come back. We get 26,000 for doing it, or accepting it, and 49,000 for completion. So we could do with extra funds anyway, so we may as well take this and see if we can get it done. And I don't have any nodes left with 55 science, so why don't we refly with the same craft, because we have that materials bay that we can, or the science junior that we can use to get more science. I think I only got science low, so maybe we can pick up science high this time, or something along those lines. We can carry it with us anyway. Hopefully we have enough delta V. I think it's got 5,500. I think to get to orbit it's about 4,500 or 4,700 or 800, something like that, of orbit of the moon, or the Mun, and then a few hundred to get back. So hopefully I've got enough. We'll see. Now remember, I still can't maneuver plan, which isn't great, but what I am going to do is
I've upgraded the tracking station. So that should let me see patch conics. So that should give me a much nicer time. Let's just stage. Go back here. Stage. And go. And actually getting to see where I'm going to be going by the moon. Now, it's going to require a little bit of finicky placement. Sort of where I go. A free return will be okay, but in this case, we're actually not too concerned with a free return. We're actually just trying to fly an orbit that we can get an orbit at the other end and then a return back to our home planet. So let's just reduce that a little bit. And we're just coming in very gently here. And let's set this as our target. Okay, so we're just going to bring ourselves in. Ooh, I appear to be quite a ways off with regards to that, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue. I can always correct mid-course if I need to, inclination. We're getting close enough to get an encounter, and there we are with an encounter. So, what will happen on our return trip? Well, we can't actually just get a free return. We need to actually orbit. So, technically, maybe we want to get as close as possible for orbit, but we'll see on this approach. This should get us an encounter. We can then use that. So let's just, let's see what we need to do. What resources have we got? Pretty much half our fuel tank, along with, obviously, all of our science stuff. So let's head out. Well, I can't even warp to, can I? Because I don't have the, the other upgrade. We're going to warp manually and head out there, and I can get more science from here. That will use up electric charge, however. Yeah, so maybe I don't exactly want to do that, but 28 science. Well, we'll see. We can always get it coming back. That's the other good thing about this. So let's keep on going. There we go. And going to come around, and then we're going to need to face retrograde and get ourselves in the highest possible orbit of the moon. So we've got no or very little connection at the moment. That's not such a big deal. And there we go. So there's our periapsis. We want actually to be pointing in the retrograde direction, so we were already pointing in the right direction. But that is okay as well, and we can just disable SAS for now. Yeah, I have got all the space high stuff, so we don't need to worry about that. We can get the stuff in between in space high above Kerbin. And let's head forwards a little bit. And we're going to have to... So, well, we're not going to know exactly how, how well this is going to go. But let's get closer. Yeah, I want to say around here is good. Get to the periapsis. All right, so now we can turn SAS back on and point ourselves retrograde and do a little bit of burning, which should bring this around. We're still escaping. We're still not in orbit, so we're going to wait till we get to orbit. That's going to loop around and create an orbit for us. There we are. So technically we're in orbit, so that should give us that orbit the Mun. That's part of our whole thing. And then we've got to wait until we go back around. Well, I guess we could just reverse it now. But normally I'd wait till around about here. So why don't we go around once? We're inclined as well, which is a little bit annoying. We may have to do some corrections. So let's go around, I think, just to save as much fuel as we can. I almost want to go when I'm parallel here, but I don't really have any ability to plot a maneuver, and I'm terrible at piloting on that kind of thing. So we'd have to. What we could do? No, it's okay. Let's just go around once. And of course, we're going around Kerbin as well. So I just want to get to a point where we can sort of head back in, which is coming up. Yeah, around about here should do, I think. or maybe a little bit further. And we're going to be heading that way, essentially. So, let's point ourselves... Is that prograde? Yeah, what happens... Let's give this a go from here and let's see what happens. So, as you can see, it's lengthening our orbit out that way. And there we go. So here is our orbit, what will happen, and then we want to watch our periapsis. So that's not going to be too good for the moment, but we're okay. We can actually adjust it once we leave the moon's escape. Well, we want to escape the moon's sort of sphere of influence. And let's head out. In fact, let me just turn off SES so it doesn't try to correct things. And we can head back out. Just coming in here to our apoapsis. And there we go, we're out. So we can then look at the periapsis at this side and we can turn SAS back on, hopefully. Turn SAS back on. Oh, we're still warping, that's why. Turn SAS back on, point retrograde. And now see if we can bring that periapsis in. We want around about 28 kilometers up. So we can spend the remaining fuel as much as we want. And it's coming in quite quickly. So we're close to the apo. So that should make things a little bit better. So I'm just going to increase that. And this will bring things in really quickly. I'm going to need to be able to see that somewhere. Can I see this from... I'm so used to MechJeb. I do with MechJeb just for the stats, not necessarily to be able to fly things, because it's easier to fly things in, you know, the basic version of Kerbal in vanilla. So here we are, 700,000, 600,000. Just keep bringing ourselves in. It'll take a little bit more as we actually come in to do that, but that's okay. 75. So we're in the atmosphere now. 60, 50, 40, 30, 29. Will do. We shouldn't skip back out on 29. So I'm just going to shut off SAS. And now we're free to pretty much do whatever science we want. So material study, yes, let's just get all of that lovely science. We're going to collect it all. And we're going to put it all into this container, just like we did on that rover. Which should then mean we're not going to need this, or indeed the engine again. Although I will keep the engine... we can spend all that fuel as we're coming in to sort of slow ourselves down if we want to. We shouldn't need to in this particular configuration because the heat shield is right here and it should be able to survive. It's usual that this this bio container doesn't survive. It sometimes gets burned off, but the rest of it should be fine. So why don't we head back in? Oh no! Oh no! 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 Not again! I want to get back in. How bad is this going to be? Okay. Yeah, we're still okay. Yeah, so 27,573. So yeah, I could have got back to the moon if I wanted to. Yeah, sort of a double encounter. I'm not going to need it though. We're going to head back around, get it much, much closer, and then into the atmosphere. We'd like to be able to warp there, but I don't quite have that feature yet. We should have it fairly soon though, because the reward for this particular mission is enough for us to get it, but I only have how much? 66,000 left. So I'd rather have a little bit more than that if possible. So in we come. All right, and let's just make sure we are facing retrograde. Spin ourselves around. And now, as you can see, we're about to hit the top of the atmosphere. So not much else I need to do here other than lose our engine stage, really. We can just drop it and keep going. Now, you can usually do that just as you're facing like this, but if you wanted to, you could spin yourself this way, lose it, and then point back again. So you don't have any danger that way of colliding with it on the way down. You shouldn't do anyway, but I think that's what Sawyer's capsule does as well. I can't remember reading something along those lines where it sort of, you know, sends it off spinning one way so that it won't have any sort of danger of collision. So now we're just coming in. We've got electric charge left, and this should keep us pointed in the right direction. Not that we should need it. We can turn it off, and we should oscillate quite nicely. We are in the atmosphere now, of course. So from this point, it is a regular kind of descent. And Jeb is going to get a little warm and that biocapsule is probably going to burn off. But other than that, that wasn't us. That was our... Oh, look, our little engine unit over there. This little service module is burning up. However, our heat shield isn't. That's really, really important. All right, so I'll see you back on the ground, and from there we shall see what we need to do next. Well, all right, look at all the science we got from that. So 10 from that pressure scan from high in space, another 22 from material study, high in space, and lots of miscellaneous stuff. So recovery of a vessel, return from orbit around the moon, we get another 10 science for. So 129 science total, which is exactly what I wanted to do, which means we can come in here and we can take our propulsion systems node, or indeed, I don't need the miniaturization. I don't need that just yet. Those are the rover wheels. Yeah, not that we need them. RCS would be nice at some point. And a Mark II command pod landing stuff. Can be useful for sort of Munar probes, but we can get away with sort of simpler approaches for Minmus, which is probably the next moon to visit. We'll see what missions we get given. Payload bay stuff, no. Fuel systems, would be nice to have the fuel ducts, but to start off with, I think I'm going to have this. I think I want some kind of unmanned probe, and having this fuel tank would be very good. Have I got electrics? I did get electrics, which has got the photovoltaic panels and the Octo, the first sort of really nice probe, Octo 2, and the other one I can never remember the name of. You should be in here. Where are you? Why can I never remember the name of the other one? Octo 2, yes. Is it beginning with H? Hex. There's the other one. Yeah. Knew it was something like that. Yeah, so they have different levels of features, essentially. I think the Hex comes with the SAS stuff first, and then you get the Octo 2, which has it as well. But let's take this one. We're down to 39 science again, so we're dealing with other stuff is going to be interesting. I do want that fuel duct at some point. We could convert to liquid fuel boosters. Okay, so what missions is it going to give us? It's not going to give us... Oh, explore Kerbin. Okay, rendezvous 2 vessels in orbit of Kerbin. So that is another one to actually do. And we haven't got that yet. So, yeah, we can probably have a look at that next time. Although I think next time I'll probably want to set up some comsats. And then maybe look at Minmus. Hopefully it'll give us a mission for Minmus fairly soon. Can we see the criteria for that? I think we need a... a mod to show what missions and the criteria is for giving them to us. So we don't really have the ability to do that. So next episode, I think we're going to get... In fact, can we get mission control? We can, but we don't have much spare money if we do that. So I think I want to do a couple more missions, get myself over about 250 before I spend, and then we're able to do maneuver nodes, which will let us be much more efficient and means I don't have to fly blind while not only leaving Kerbin behind, but also orbiting the moon and coming back. So, blind trip, it's been a good one, and hopefully you enjoyed the episode. So feel free to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share, hit the bell if you want to see notifications or not. It's up to you entirely. And as always, thanks for watching.